Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the Art with World. I am your host, ARSHAD WAEED. Pakistan's art scene has always remained very complex but interesting. It has a lot of potential to grow, but at the same time, supporting environment for art has remained less than ideal in Pakistan in various phases of its history. To discuss this situation, we have a very learned guest with us, Aasim Akhtar. Aasim Akhtar is an artist, curator and art critic. His work has been exhibited nationally and internationally, and similarly his writings have been published both in Pakistan and abroad. He is the author of 2 books and he has just finished his 3rd book, which would be published very soon. And in addition to that, he has been teaching art and art appreciation in National College of Arts, Pakistan. Welcome to our show, Aasim Saab.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. For discussing various aspects of art in Pakistan, different forms of art in Pakistan, various trends, I would like you to tell your art journey, how you got interested in art, art criticism, designing, and being curator of art as well in Pakistan.
Well, I do not come from an arts background.
Okay.
On the contrary, I come from a business background. And nobody in my family had ever been a professional artist.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in an environment in Rawalpindi where appreciation of the arts had been rather common, especially that of music.
Okay.
My family was much passionate about music and its pursuit, but then again not on a professional level. I think the decision to choose art as a career came quite late in life, especially when I moved to Lahore for graduation at Government College in Lahore. That's when this decision came about, because I would go to the NCA in Lahore very frequently. I came to know some of the artists there who inspired me at that point. And since I always had an inclination towards the arts, especially the visual arts, I would go to the exhibitions. I would make a point to spend time with the artists in order to be able to learn something about art. And then when I started going to the art exhibitions in Lahore and to various art galleries at that point in time, back in the mid-80s, that rapport with the arts on a first-hand basis probably led to the decision that I could choose a career in the field. So when I sat the admission test, the drawing test at the NCA, I qualified, and that's how the journey began. Art criticism, however, came in a bit later, in the sense that once upon an occasion, I ran into 2 editors from the Herald magazine, the Dawn group of newspapers, the Herald, being published from Karachi in those days, as always. And they convinced me to start writing on art. And after having a conversation with me, they said that they could, see some potential in me to be able to write about art, when prior to that I hadn't thought of writing on art. And they said, well, you could start with the review of the ongoing exhibitions at that time. So that's how I got into writing reviews, which later on became art criticism or art appreciation. So that carried on. And even though I did not continue writing only for the Herald, I switched to Newsline later on, and then finally to the News on Sunday, which I still write for even now, and meanwhile the Friday Times. And then I also began to write for some international publications on, again, art and culture in Pakistan. And then gradually the scope of my interest in writing on the arts expanded, and bringing in or taking in even the performing arts, like for instance dance, like for instance music and literature. Literature had always been my major interest in life, which I believe has also informed my writing, my practice over the years. So my link and my association with literature as the prime source of inspiration and motivation has continued today.
Oh, great. So if I have to ask you to just briefly give an overview of art scene in Pakistan, different trends over the years, over the decades.
See, when you talk about art and its evolution in Pakistan,
Yeah.
you have to go back into time to the day Pakistan was conceived. So you have to, go back to the year 1947 or maybe even before that, because the political slash social slash cultural climate of the day informed
Yeah.
the decisions that the artists had to take in post-partition days. So around the inception of Pakistan in 1947, things had been very different from now. And the artists had to not only re-establish their new identity in a newly formed, newly founded state,
Yeah.
they also had to forge a vision. And when you talk about the evolution of art in Pakistan since 1947, you have to perhaps talk about it in terms of the decades that followed.
Yeah.
Because each decade had its own temperament, its own mood, its own cultural antecedents. And my personal opinion is that all art is political, and that the personal is political. So, keeping that in mind, art is not just about the landscape, the portrait, and the still life. Now, that's a very narrow vision of art. But even in those days, that vision was challenged through various ideals and pursuits which the artists deemed important to incorporate into their practice. So if you look at the kind of traditions that were being followed or that were being reinvented or renewed or reinterpreted in those days, in the early days of the formation of the country, they were very different. And then the dawn of the new millennium ushered in a new change. And then more recently, the onslaught of the digital technology has brought another change to art making, and globally, universally, art has come to assume new meanings and new interpretations.
Would you explain what do we mean by these new meanings, new interpretations?
Well, to begin with, art and art making, as I see it happening in the country, for instance, if I may localize
Oh, yeah.
my scope of interest and speech, art has been rescued and salvaged from its academic bearings. And you're not only talking about the aesthetics of art making, and you're not only looking at the formal aspects of art making, you have certain concerns as a human being which have taken precedence over everything else, which has given a new meaning to art. I mean, those concerns may be old, and those concerns may always have been there, but your engagement with those concerns and the fact that now those concerns can be the very theme, the very subject of your work, and the very motivation behind making work is what I mean by the new meaning. So you're not only looking at art as a pleasure principle, and you're not just looking at it aesthetically, like what is splendid, what is decorative, what is delightful, what is visually appealing is what art is all about. Yes, for a lot of people, even in today's time and age, that's the prime consideration while they are looking at art. And that's what they are probably looking for in art. But one may have to look beyond that, and one has actually delved into the realm of looking beyond the mere surface, which may or may not be visually enticing.
So you think that in every piece of art there should be some message, and aesthetic should be
Well, when you are
dealt
asked,
with at a secondary level.
when you're asked as to why do you make art, what motivates you to make art, what stimulates you to make art, or let's put it this way, what provokes you to make art, the common answer is, it's my self-expression. So what is it about yourself? If art is merely autobiographical or biographical, so what exactly is it that you wish to express about yourself? You have words, you have the language to communicate with people through. So why should you take help of the visual expression to articulate and communicate your feelings, your sentiments? That's one. And the other is that you do not probably make art with the consciousness of sending out a message to people. You're not making slogans. You're not presenting a manifesto. Art should not be dogmatic, in my opinion. Be it writing, be it music, be it any other form of expression, any genre. It does not have to be dogmatic or didactic. Yes, if there is, what you mean by message is probably the content and its significance in art. To my mind, that is what lends weight to a work of art. Okay. But meaning is something which is relative in the sense that what you may have tried to communicate, I may not have been able to grasp, for instance, and I may give your work of art my own meanings, depending on how I interpret it, depending on how I approach it. Unless I have access to you, in which case I can ask you as to what was the message behind the work. But sometimes, on the contrary, there is no message per se. Yet people insist on knowing as to what the message is, as if that's the only way you can justify art making. Because to this day, even among the educated few, the notion is that art is just a pastime and it's not a serious pursuit, and that the artists make art merely to decorate the walls.
Okay. You just mentioned digitalization of art. I think I would like you to deliberate upon it further, what it has contributed to art, its quality, content, it has compromised creativity of artist, what he wants to create and how he wants to create.
Well, you can't possibly ignore or defy or eliminate or eradicate digitization and the digital technology. In other words, you can't sort of defy technology because that's the call of the times. Man has invented this technology and man has to now grapple with it, and now man has to make use of it, in other words. But man is also tempted to make use of it. Why? Because I think it has made things easier and quicker, and because it has given you the tool to create effects which you may not have been able to achieve manually, or that you may not have been thinking of. So it has opened up a whole new world of possibilities.
Okay.
And man is fascinated by those possibilities. That's one reason. The other is that it has not quite jeopardized, but threatened the role of the manual skill in making art, because technology will do for you what you will ask the technology to do for you. Yes, you need the brain to make that technology work in your favor. So it's not any less creative, if you really ask me. It's only that it's an added tool to facilitate art making, but it also depends on how you use that technology. The technology itself is nothing harmful or nothing eradicable. It's how you approach that technology and what part you want that technology to play, and how significantly or substantially so while you're making art.
So what are current practices? What are the current trends in Pakistan? What kind of techniques young artists or even old artists prefer to use while doing their artwork?
Well, there is no one medium, there is no one theme, there is no one thought behind making art today, because you have all kinds of artists. You have the younger artists, you have the mid-career artists, you have the senior artist. you have the young graduates, for instance, who have yet to explore the world, and then you have some very seasoned artists also, and then there are those who are beyond youth and are now exploring the world and exploring the possibilities of making art. So, all kinds of art are being made in Pakistan. There is a huge output in terms of miniature making. Then you have, you know, oil painting, acrylic painting, which is what you generally refer to as painting. You have sculpture, you have printmaking, and now you have other forms of art too. There is community art, there is site-specific art, there is installation art, there is performance art, there is sound art, there is what you call relational art, and so forth. So the scope of art making and art in general has expanded beyond one's imagination, which goes to show that art has more currency and strength universally in today's time and age than ever before. And the growth of artists in terms of their number, in terms of their visibility, has become, is another testimony to the fact that art has, you know, a burgeoning presence and has come to assume more importance in people's lives than ever before. And a lot may also owe to the fact that people are now more aware of the role and significance of art in their lives.
Well, some people have the opinion that in Pakistan, within different forms of art, literature and poetry, we have great artists, and those are almost comparable to the world as well. Whereas in the other forms of arts, like I mean theater, like dance, and maybe in paintings, we are far behind from rest of the world. I don't know, I have just heard such opinions, so I just want to have your views on that.
Now, people who have held such an opinion should be asked as to who they are comparing Pakistan to.
Right.
Are you comparing Pakistan to neighboring India? Are you comparing Pakistan to the white continent? Are you comparing it to the USA? So, what is the measure of criterion? I'm sorry, what is the measure of comparison? And what exactly is the criterion behind making such a sweeping statement? I totally disagree with those dissidents who have, you know, relegated the status of art and artists in Pakistan to the bare minimum. No, this is not true. If I may leave music out, which they have a better opinion about, and talk only, let's say, about the visual artists, art and artists. Well, you have, to begin with, you have REHMAN, who is internationally famed. You have Sadiqain, who is again internationally famed. You have Ustad Allah Bakhsh, who is internationally famed. As you move on, you have the modernists like Zubaida Agha and Shakir Ali. And then as you move further on, you have Zahurul Akhlaq. And if you look at, you have Rashid Rana. In today's time, he's my contemporary. Of course, you have Imran Qureshi, you have Shahzia Sikandar. Now I'm doling out names who are of international fame and recognition, who have been shown abroad, who have been written up about, who have been featured in international shows, who have been in the media for a long time, and who have taken their practice to the level that the international market and the international society has set the parameters for. When you talk about dance, believe me, I can't think of very many classical dancers in the world who can rival Nahid Siddiqui, who used to be invited by the government of France every year without fail to perform in Paris. So she is again internationally famed. I mean, she has a long list of accolades and kudos which support her league and her achievement in life. So you also have to look at the various factors which lead to the promotion and growth of arts in a country like Pakistan. So what has been the level of patronage and what has been the level of institutionalization in Pakistan? So what exactly have we done as a people to promote, for instance, dance and music in Pakistan? Okay, visual arts had a more illustrious history as more and more art departments are mushrooming privately and also nationally. But I don't think all arts, including the performing arts in Pakistan, have had that kind of a luxury to flourish in that environment. Literature had a different background perhaps. And since you have mentioned writers and poets and authors, so you may want to single them out.
So you also arrange art exhibitions, and you have also arranged exhibitions abroad as well. What's your experience of reception of art in Pakistan and abroad?
I curate shows,
Okay.
in other words. Are you talking about the curator's role
Yes.
in curating a show? I think the curator has a very responsible position in these affairs. In my opinion, it's the curator's role, if not his job, to guide people's vision, to give the spectator, the onlooker, the viewer, the receptionist, the recipient, the audience, if you like, a sense of direction as to how art should be approached and how it should be seen and what one may go looking for in a work of art, without coming home with the question, why did I go there? Or what was the work all about? So I think the curator's role or job, if you like, is to guide people's vision into looking at art. So there has to be an anchor in the work, and to locate that anchor, the focus is important. At the same time, on a wider canvas, the curator also brings out certain features and certain characteristics and certain ideals which he has seen in art, and now which he is helping people out in seeing as well. So he puts together or assembles those works of art which conform to a theme or to a subject or to a ideal or an ideal or to an agitprop, if there is any. So that's the curator's role, in my opinion. It's not just about asking anybody randomly to bring in his or her work and then put it up on the walls and invite people to take a look. No, it has to conform to a certain idea, and that idea, the very basis of stimulation and motivation is very important to curatorial practice.
Very interesting, and this also reminds me of another aspect of art appreciation. And since you have been teaching art appreciation and criticism in National College of Arts as well, so would you like to explain basic features of art appreciation for our viewers as well, how art should be appreciated?
Well, I think it's very important to define your role as a viewer. So what is it that you're looking for in art when you approach art in an art gallery, in a public space, in a museum or elsewhere? What exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for that hidden agenda, that meaning that we earlier on talked about, the message as you put it? Are we trying to locate the context of art? Or are we merely looking at the surface, or what meets the eye, or what's out there? Are we only looking at the skill of the artist? Are we only looking at the talent of the artist? Are we only looking at it academically in terms of the anatomy, the composition, the color palette, the command online, paint handling, the treatment of the surface, paint mixing, etc. So what exactly is it that you're looking for in art? And I think it's important for people to know as to how to appreciate art. There should be an awareness and a consciousness of it, in my opinion, which does not imply that there is a formula to appreciating art. There is no formula. There is no formula in art. In my opinion, there is no such thing as, art and non-art.
Okay.
So I can't think of an antonym that may be attached to art. So what is the opposite of art? non-art, kitsch if you like.
Well, that was coming into my mind because Kundera has referred it many times. With kitsch, he means it may be very popular, but it may be very superficial, just playing to the galleries, trying to gain people's attention of very of the ideas which are not very much, worthy of a great art. That's what he means.
Well, it's very
But then he
difficult.
thinks that opposite of art is non-art. Well, that's what he says.
It's very difficult to draw a line between art and artifice, because I think all art is a combination of both. So that may take us to the bare basics. We may have to look at the very fundamentals of art and art making as to what qualifies as art and what cannot qualify as art. But then the opinions may vary.
Of course.
And will always remain relative. So what you refer to as good art might be bad art for me, and so forth. But at the same time, to make it sound politically correct, one may not get into the debate of calling any art good or bad. One may just simply say, I do not like it, and I do like it very much.
Well, that's perfectly all right, but you're an art critic as well. So when you write about some painting or maybe any piece of various forms of art, whatever, so when you comment, do you have some criteria in mind, or it's just your subjective opinion about that piece of art?
It's both, I would say.
But
You don't approach a work of art on the wall that is subjected to you or that you are subjected to with a preconceived notion. So you leave your mind open to be able to respond freely to what you see out there to begin with. You do not have any agenda per se while you are criticizing art, if you like. But then criticism to most people has come to mean looking at art negatively or looking only at the negative features in art, things which appear to be negative to your eye and mind. That's not true. Criticism is part of art appreciation, let's put it this way. You're actually appreciating art.
But when you say that this is a great piece of art, what's in your mind?
Well, it depends on the factors which you are considering while looking at it and while calling it great. Maybe it's the formal construction and execution of the work, which is what helped you to call it great. Maybe because it has stood the test of time and is a timeless work of art, which has been declared timeless by everybody in the world. Maybe that's what you have at the back of your mind. Or maybe it's the context, the content of the work, which has added so much weight to it. But above all these things, what level can you identify with the work of art on? Can you relate to it? Does it speak to you? Can you see yourself there? Does the work of art provoke you into reminding you of your past, something which is embedded in your memory, something which has been in your subconscious and has now been tapped? Is there a wound in your life that has been lanced open? something which has also been of concern to you, that is now being highlighted by somebody else that you can very easily relate yourself to. So it all depends on various factors that you may consider important enough to be able to respond to a work of art as a great work of art. You know, there is no one particular thing that you can, you know, point at or put your finger on.
No, I completely agree with you. There is no one thing. There may be many things, many factors, many aspects. But still, you have not concluded. I mean, is it all subjective, or there are some objective factors which contribute to your opinion, which you make about such a piece
as
of art?
a critic, my effort is to look at a work of art as objectively as I possibly can, regardless of my knowledge of the artist's life and times, regardless of my personal relationship with the artist. I may know the artist very well, or I may be totally oblivious to the artist's background and past. It all depends on who the artist is or where I stand, but I have to define my vantage point in terms of approaching the work of art. I can't possibly leave my subjectivity behind me while approaching a work of art. Of course, I am looking at it through my eye, and I'm approaching it or reading or trying to read the work through my mind. So I can't be 100% objective when I approach a work of art, and while I'm also being asked to comment on it, you know. So that is again, you know, a balancing act between objectivity and subjectivity, if you like. And then there are works of art that may be very well executed, but they fail to engage your attention, and they fail to, you know, lure you into responding to them, and they fail to speak to you. If you ask me how do they fail, that's very difficult to answer, because you approach a work of art with the baggage that you carry with you of the backlog information about art in general, your so-called knowledge and information on art, ideas that you have, you know, formulated over the years, things which have calcified in your mind. So it's not quite easy to put everything behind you and look at art with a blank mind. No, that's not possible, I guess. Now that does reflect on the critic's opinion being biased or prejudiced or lopsided. But that's how things are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you just tell us about art institutions in Pakistan, the level of trainings, guiding, teaching, and how many good art institutions exist in Pakistan, and what kind of subjects they are taking in their art teaching curriculum? Well,
the earliest art institution in Pakistan is what used to be known as the Mayo School of Art, founded by the English, which later on became nationalized in the late 50s and became the National College of Arts.
Yeah.
So that's the pioneer art institution in Pakistan, which has the credit of producing the widest and the largest number of practicing artists and designers and architects in Pakistan, because it has a long, illustrious history. What followed was the art department in the Punjab University,
Yeah.
founded by Anna Malka Ahmed in 1940, which initially used to cater only to the female component of the society, but later on also included the male counterpart. So it became a mixed sort of educational system. So these are the two earliest examples of art education in Pakistan, if you really ask me. Much later, Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture, which is a private institute, came into being in Karachi. And now what you have in the name of the art curriculum and in the name of art education is the art departments opened in various universities and colleges across Pakistan. There is one in Gujarat which is doing very well. There is one in Sargodha which is active. Kinnaird College for Women in Lahore, Lahore College for Women in Lahore. Both are now universities, even Government College, which are flourishing, which are producing art, which have a visible number of art students, and so forth. And you have the Jamshoro University, you have SABS in Jamshoro again, you have Karachi University, and there are other departments too. So art seminars are being held, and you know, art workshops are also being held. Then you have the diploma courses, which are like shorter courses. And of course, you have the Beacon House National University in Lahore. SAVAD is the abbreviation for their visual arts
So there's a
department.
trend for students to join these departments?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a growing need, and there is a growing interest in art education.
Is it because it has created its market as well?
Also,
Okay.
also.
So we may see very young and bright artists in coming times.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm very hopeful because each time I have the chance to see the annual degree shows which showcase art being produced during the last year, for instance, or as the final product, you know. I see new trends and new ideas and new materiality in the execution of art, and I see a lot of talent which is very, very promising.
Thank you very much, Aasim Saab. It was
Thank
wonderful
you.
talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
So viewers, thank you for watching us. See you next Sunday, same time.